know what? Wildflowers can be very, very beautiful. But you know what isn't beautiful is, well, the Italian government, as in Giorgia Meloni. No, there's something very bitter and twisted inside that person. Now, in the live stream, I talked about how Giorgia Meloni is trying to push through a ruling to eradicate the English language out of Italian, public services, basically, and public offices and places like that. And she wants to impose fines of up to £100,000, which sounds a little bit excessive in many cases, but also a little bit insular. Now, I do understand that the Italian language must be preserved, and we should, maybe squeeze down a little bit, the use of English. But at the end of the day, English is an international language. Well, trade and industry and stuff like that, we have to be aware of that. So we need a balance. And here in France, for instance, there are rules here regarding preserving the French language. For instance, all broadcasters, they've got to make sure their content is over 50% French content. You're not going to get yourself a broadcast licence here if it's all English, for instance. It's just ain't cheddar. And I understand that because, we mustn't allow culture to pick, individual countries' cultures and their heritage through the influx of British expats, immigrants, entering a country. I think it's quite important, Well, Giorgia Meloni, that's not the only thing she's trying to push through at the moment. She's currently going through Parliament. She's trying to ban... You're vegetarian, aren't you, darling?
Yes.
You don't eat meat.
No.
Unfortunately for me. It doesn't eat meat. And, and as such, you might sometimes go for vegetarian options or vegan options and stuff like that, mightn't you? Whatever's available, really.
Well, mostly we do.
We've got people coming.
Mostly we do cook it from scratch yourself, but
we do.
I mean, like today, I just had 2 little soya.
We've got bikers.
Vegan soya.
Not motorbikers.
Bike things, didn't I?
What do you want?
I had 2 little soya vegan bike bits.
You did?
Yeah.
Because there's people.
There is, yeah.
We don't normally see people.
We do sometimes weekends because we see.
Oh, okay.
We often see walkers and bikers.
What day is it?
Sunday.
Oh, live stream tonight.
Yeah.
Daytime walk today.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't affect me tremendously, but that's not a lot. That would a lot of people, because a lot of people are busy and they ain't got time to do that, and they buy a lot of the processed foods.
Well, we were talking about processed food because, in the sense that what Callan's referring to is that Meloni's pushing through Parliament a bill, Italian Parliament, to ban vegan processed food. What? I don't want. Can someone elaborate to me in the chat down below why this is the case? Why is that so important to the Italian government to ban vegan food? I don't get it. It seems pointless.
We were trying to save the planet, and the more vegetables we eat, the better. That's less meat eating.
Well, but you could argue that processed food is not good for the planet. Because it comes in packets, boxes and stuff
Everything
like that.
comes in packets and boxes.
Yeah,
You try buying stuff from without a packet and a box.
I know, I get that, it's terrible.
We buy blinking tea bags and they're wrapped up individually inside the box.
What's wrong with a tea caddy?
Yeah, but what's wrong with that? Why do they need to do that?
Well, Carol, years ago, you remember, years ago, in the olden days, when I was a boy, we had little wooden boxes from India with loose tea in. Part of the Indian trading company.
We had a tin. We didn't.
No, I'm not that old, obviously, but you know.
We had tins.
Loose tea. Loose tea.
We did. Sebastian,
a little sieve thing. Yeah, tea strainer.
Yeah.
And we just do tea that way. Then we've obviously got the PG Tips tea bags.
You can still do it, but that isn't available so much, is it?
Loose tea bags, loads of different varieties, and that's become quite trendy now as well. But also, regarding tea, what have you, I suppose you've got a lot more varieties available that way. But since PG Tips and what have you come along, now what they're doing, they stick them in a whatever it's made out of, I think they've changed now, haven't they?
Got plastic in there.
Some of them have got plastic in the tea bags, and then there's microplastics in your tea, so you're drinking that. And that light is a pain. And oh, sorry, I just bashed on the edge of the gimbal because rub my eye, look where I was going. So yes, so in France here, they go in a pack into the. Oh, okay, let's get my worms out in a minute. So you got the little pyramid tea bags, and then put them inside another little bag, plastic bag, and then in a box, which is covered in cellophane.
Yeah.
How much packaging do we need?
Biscuits.
And biscuits.
You can buy biscuits
quite, they're terrible in France.
I mean, we tend to make our own most of the time.
Yeah. We've kind of gone a bit off track, haven't we? Because we're actually talking about something else.
Now we need to be talking about Italy.
Italy, yeah, we'll go back on to Italy because
I think we should go back on to.
Oh no, I've gone on the wrong page now.
The first bit you were talking
all that again.
about.
I don't know how that's happened, but somehow I've managed to go on to the wrong.
We need to go back on
to that one.
The bit where they want to ban the English language in public places.
Yeah, that's basically Italy. Italy again. Now I've been to Italy a few times. You've been to Italy as well, haven't you, darling?
Yeah.
And now this kind of next part of our little conversation, my darling, it kind of goes back to. It sort of brings on how we live here in France as well.
Yeah.
British expats. Oh, I mean immigrants. Oh, did I say expats?
I mean, generally we try to integrate and and we speak, French as much French, don't we?
Yeah. Well, to a degree.
Yeah.
I'd say it's more like franglais.
Yeah, that was
our French is terrible. We do write it though, and read it and what have you. But I really struggle with pronunciation. You're doing pretty well at the moment, actually, to be fair. But I've done things with the local charities and stuff like that. I mean, regarding the fate here in Orador.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I've done refugee collections and things.
Yeah, you have. It's charity work.
Yeah.
So you do your bit, don't you? But but the point here is that there's an article in one of the one of the rags. In this case, a tabloid. I'm not going to mention its name because. I hate it. Oh, it's the Express, sorry. Anyway, in the Express, obviously the Express is going to be quite keen to big up us Brits. Yeah, do you know what they're like? Yeah. It says, British expats have rescued our hometown from the grave. Now, the reason why I can't want to bring that up is because we've heard this ourselves by French citizens living here who've said pretty much the same thing. Now, I was having the camera up the bottom. I was sitting there in a bed next to a French geezer who happens to have a supermarket, and he said to me, I actually asked him the question, how do you feel about about Brits that are, moving in the air? This is Chabanais as well, wasn't he? He was in Chabanais. And he says, no, we're quite happy about it because, well, one thing, my business does quite well out of it, but also, he said, our children aren't leaving home anymore. Now, before, obviously, the influx of other people's money, such as Brits moving here, the Dutch and other nationalities as well, they bring money with them, don't they? Renovate the old properties up and stuff like that, and it provides work. And not just that, these people, foreign nationals living here, they all need other stuff as well, madam, don't they? They go to the supermarkets, the shops, and buy things from the DIYs.
They're working and paying taxes, a lot of them.
All that as well, yeah, we do. And then you got you need your plumbers, and it creates local trade because you've got people who brought money in. Now the same is happening in Italy, according to this. And this lady here, who's a Italian lady, says the historical old district was turning into ruins. The British have breathed new life there, says one restaurant owner. Andrea Tuzio, and her mother, and they've got a B&B balcony in. I can't even stop walking. I'm getting out of breath here. I can't say it. It's a Sicily. That it is.
Sicily.
With British guests, etc. Yeah, and she says it's been a positive input. So it makes me wonder if actually the likes of Giorgia Meloni actually reflects on the sentiments of many of the Italians. Of some of them, obviously, but
it's obviously not just people living there. It's actually people going on holiday because Italy's a big tourist destination.
Yeah.
So what about if they get into trouble? They're not allowed to speak the English language if they
because a lot of, it's like, okay, we get by and what have you. Regarding technical French and what have you, ours would be terrible. We'd have to bring someone with us to actually help, wouldn't we?
Yes.
And that'd be the same for those who generally can integrate quite well with the Italian language, but when it comes down to technicalities, it becomes extremely difficult. You know, so even like here, builders and stuff like that, and people who do maintenance work, what have you, English people, what have you, or maybe they've got themselves, I don't know, a P&O ferry qualifications. They start working there in France, they're not really qualified to do the job. But anyway, they go in there, they don't understand the terminology, or you know, the name of stuff like sand, sabla, and you know, all that sort of stuff, plateau, and.
Oh, we know all that.
Yeah, of course, because that's kind of what I've been doing. But this lady here. She refers to the English as the brave rescuers. This is a positive. See, this is a positive video. I don't normally do positive videos.
You don't usually do positive videos. But it's not just English. You know,
it's all nationalities.
All nationalities, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. So anyway,
I can't see it's a positive to push them away.
But that's the thing, actually. When you impose, is this Meloni's goal? Is to eradicate not just the English language, but British expats or mean immigrants living in Italy.
Yeah.
Because if we bring on, like, for instance, mother-in-law, your mum.
Yes.
And they moved back to the UK because they were worried about Brexit and had to, you know, jump through hoops and stuff like that. And they would really struggle. They get really stressy and nervous, didn't they? About it all.
They'd have been fine, wouldn't they?
They would have been absolutely fine. But when it come down to it, they
really regret it now.
They left. They do now, yeah. Left France and went back to the UK.
Yeah.
And now, from living in a lovely place with all lots of land and stuff like that, and she loves her gardening, and now she lives in a little 2-bedroom bungalow where her sons tend to bleed her dry. So, not you though. You're not the son.
No.
Anyway, that's another story.
Yeah.
But anyway, this lady here, she says most of these brave rescuers, as she calls them, are Britons who have purchased cheap dwellings. Yeah, I know that
like
feeling.
Us,
yeah, like us, and succeeded in blending in with the community according to the local consensus. An historical old district of Musamelli was turning into ruins, and locals long ago fled from their homes, abandoning it because there's no money, you see, no work. So they've got a choice, haven't they? You know. So the hope was, I suppose, not the hope, but the point is that in some cases the Brits have brought money in, and in just the Brits, obviously not, brought money in, helped to restore the village. Now we've seen it here. Here, there's a little hamlet just up there called La Pomeruli. And the poor old lady, she's died now, but she's a centurion. Oh no, she's 100 and something. She did bad. Anyway, her thoughts was, because in this hamlet up there, there's few English and what have you, although we don't tend to.
Well, we say hello, but
that's as far as it goes, really. Anyway, but there's few English in there, and she's very, she said the place would be dead if it wasn't for the fact of the English moving into the area.
Oh, didn't she used to hold a little party once a year for them all?
No, that wasn't, because they did hold a party for her, but that's just the locals. They do a communal kind of thing where everyone gets together, and bring and share kind of thing. Bring a bit of food with you. So it's so that's her. Then there's obviously what I was talking about regarding
the man from
you got the franchise thing at Marseille. I think it was in Marseille. It wasn't in Marseille, in Chabanais. I think it's a super ute now, actually. And then there's obviously this Italian lady, and it can't, it'll be funny. I do believe there is an issue regarding there's rapid influx of British citizens moving abroad, for a better life and what have you. And it is a better life. I don't care what anyone says.
And there is a lot that don't try.
And there's a lot that doesn't try at all.
Yeah.
Some arrogance.
Yeah.
That kind of British arrogance, kind of stiff up the lip. We're British, kind of, we're special. We're special.
Everyone speaks English.
Why don't you speak English? That's that kind of attitude. Yeah. Expecting everyone to speak English. But in France, it's just making any sense. But that obviously goes on. But it's not everybody.
That isn't
everybody. And even on this channel, I might have given the impression, I think there's all Brits are horrible pieces of work and lazy and arrogant and
Well,
expect.
You know,
I suppose that'd be reflecting on us then as well, wouldn't it?
There's a lot of people left England and come to Europe to live, so I mean, they're English people.
Yeah, but that wasn't the point. Some of them people you talk about, Caroline, are not being funny, but aren't necessarily the kind of people that we would want to associate with. We've come across a lot.
We realised that, didn't we?
We did.
When we first moved here, we were making friends with anyone who was English.
Yeah, not by choice. It just happened that way because we could communicate easier.
Yeah, and now we sort of.
And now we've learned a lesson.
we've got a handful of friends.
Yeah, a handful of people here that we can.
One of our best friends is French.
Yeah, feel it. Yeah. It's just one of the things, isn't it? You kind of, and we're quite insular in our own way, really. We're happy with our own space, and we just potter in the garden, don't we, and do what we do.
We've also got our son and daughter-in-law here and two little children, so we do a little bit with them as well. So.
That's it. He got married in France as well, didn't he? So.
We're now off to an anniversary party or a drink.
I hate those sort of things.
I know. It's really. There's only some beer and wine and nibbles in the garden.
I've got to talk to people. I do enough flipping talking, can't you tell? And I've got to talk to other people. This is different. I'm talking to the camera. Hello, camera.
Just pretend they're a camera.
Oh dear. Well, I think the gist of the story is. Well, actually, I think the gist is really we've got quite an increase, or quite a disturbing increase in far-right politicians who, after Brexit, actually, they've kind of jumped on the old Brexit bandwagon. Even though they've stepped back from the idea of a Frexit or an Alexit or something like that, you know what I mean? But on the other hand, the rise of the right and the arrogance of the British government, the likes of Giorgia Meloni, she commends it. And then you got Orban, whatever his name is, in the Hungarian president. You know, he's just the same, you know, they're just jumping on their bandwagon, and they just love it when the right-wing governments, well, say, let them drown. You know, that kind of thing. Oh, I've got an oxeye daisy. Oh, lovely. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, well, she just poked it into my scalp, but there you go. Here, oh, ain't I lovely. I'm a right little flower, aren't I? All right, darling. It's when you put it in your hair.
Because I didn't have a hat with holes in.
You've got ears. You could just slip
but I've got hair and nails behind them.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I've got an oxeye daisy. That I have.
Oh, it looks sweet.
Oh, does it? Oh, thank you. How about the oxeye daisy? Oh, well. Do you think it's time for us to go?
We are home.
I suppose you want me to get ready now, don't you? Put all my best gym jams on.
Well, I don't think you change. I think you're staying what you've got.
I've got really dirty shorts on in the garden, all muddy.
Well, I could go and find you another pair.
I don't care. Oh, no, so that'll be fine. That'll be fine. Anyway, it's time to go, Dan. Yep. What are you doing with them?
Feeding my little guys. A little treat.
Oh, okay.
Au revoir, everybody. Have a nice day.
Ta-ta. If you want to support the channel, you can do it on Patreon or buy us a coffee. Might even get the missus one. I don't know. What do you reckon? Maybe. She just had to be that.
I could do it with a hat.
Do you need a hat? She need more hats.
I'm having trouble finding a small enough one, though.
Yeah, that's because of the size that was inside your head.
Yeah, I think I need...
Can I call you Pinhead?
I need a 55 centimetre, and they do 57, 56, and then they do kids at 54.
Not like my nugget. I'm like 59 to 60, I am. I've got a big old nugget. You've got a little tiny nugget, like your hands, you've got little tiny hands. Oh, Riley the cat. Okay, there's the cat. There you go. Ozzy, there's the cat. Okay, he's satisfied now. See, we have got a cat. That's Riley. Anyway, it's time for us to go and say ta-ta, you know. Like I say, we've got a Patreon or buy us a coffee and links down below, but also we've got memberships. Oh, for which I will be, uploading, videos specifically for that. And also, live shows probably. That's an idea. Got any ideas? Leave in the comments down below. Ta-ta.